Welcome, everybody. It's Monday night again already, and tonight we're going to talk about adaptogens and their impact on athletics and endurance. And if this is your first time joining, I'm glad to welcome you. I am Valerie Bledsoe, and I'm a master herbalist out in Kansas, and I absolutely love teaching and empowering people through education to take charge of their health. So let's jump on this journey and let's see what it holds for us. We're going to, right out the gate, we're going to listen to some information from Miss Lisa Tucker.
Hi, my name is Lisa. Valerie asked me to do a short video for her teaching tonight, and I apologize, I'm in the car, so it's a little bouncy, and so I just wanted to share my journey with you a little bit. I got really sick several years ago now, and ended up being diagnosed with a couple of autoimmune diseases, and I was introduced to Solle and rapidly started getting better. Took me a while because I was really in the hole, but now I am able to do things that I was never doing before, some of which is I started running a couple years ago when I was 55. That's when I decided to start running, and actually just got back from a run at the beach. And so now I'm actually training and doing long distance running. I did a 15K not too long ago, and I am entered in a marathon to do this year and a triathlon. So I say all that not to say anything about myself, but about how wonderful these products are to be able to take you wherever you're at in life, from sickness to health, or if you're an athlete, which now that's where I find myself, that the products help sustain you pain-free. Most of the time I'm relatively pain-free, and I run a lot, and so they're able to keep me strong and healthy. I have a really strong immune system now. I'm able to build muscle, keep at a really healthy weight, and like I said, be relatively pain-free, which is a pretty phenomenal thing considering all of the training I do. So I just wanted to encourage you, no matter where you're at, the products have something for you. If you're really sick, they're a great place to start. If you're wanting to be active and become more active, they're very supportive for endurance and anti-inflammatory, for your response to all that exercise. So I encourage you, as you're listening to what Valerie's talking about, to get on a program and stay on a program. I've been 6 years now doing different types of programs with Solle Naturals, and I couldn't be more happy. Thanks.
Lisa is such an inspiration to so many people. If you ever get the opportunity to find out her full story and just how out of depths of illness she pulled herself with these adaptogenic formulas, and the fact that she is now training for this marathon and doing so much running is just incredible. And having become a runner later in life, she is just, the adaptogen story is proof positive in her life. So let's look at what actually adaptogens are. When we define adaptogens, there's three components that they must fulfill, or three characteristics, in order to be defined as an adaptogen. So the first thing is they absolutely have to be non-toxic to the recipient. For instance, you could have a plant that worked very well and had adaptogenic properties, otherwise it helped the body to deal with stress, but if it had toxic side effects, then it would not go into the classification of adaptogen. An adaptogen absolutely has to be non-toxic to the recipient. The second thing is it has to produce what they call a non-specific defense response to stress. Otherwise, it's building adaptive energy, keeps the body balanced no matter how many different directions that the stressors are coming from, or the different harmful influences that are hitting the body. And otherwise it's wide, broad reaching, broad defense. By having this foundation that it's creates and supports, it helps to adjust to what's being thrown at it. Many people have often heard me talk about it as like a shock absorber on a vehicle. When we hit a pothole, with a car, then we hit in there and we bounce back up. But with a shock absorber, when we bounce back up, as opposed to slamming into the ceiling, we have a little bounce, but then we regulate and we get back running like we should again. And the final third thing is it has to have that normalizing influence. That's why I'm talking about where we get to where we're balanced again. Otherwise, if we are overactive, let's use that shock absorber again. Let's say there's a broken shock absorber and we slam into that seat and then up into the ceiling, then it corrects it so that there is a nice little cushioning effect and it settles everything down. If there's an overactive or a hyper functioning system, then it actually pulls it back. And if it's under functioning, as in hypo functioning, then it brings it up to the ideal capacity in the way it's supposed to run. So all three of these components must be met in order for something to be called and defined as an adaptogen. Now, we've got quite a few people that want to share their information about the adaptogenic products. So this is really neat. We've got a lot of stories here. One is from Scott Warwick. He is 56 years old and he has been exercising for over 20 years. He had started taking the Solle products about 5 years ago now. And in the past, he's used many different pre-workout supplements to work on his energy levels and help him push those workouts. He was thinking about changing it and getting a healthy alternative. So he started using the Power Chi. And his thoughts are that after several months of his consistent use, and consistent is always a big player when we look at adaptogens, but after consistent use, he noticed the same type of increased energy boost as the products he'd used in the past. And there aren't the side effects, as in, deleterious things that ended up happening. So this is great because he's saying here he's getting energy boost and an all natural product. It is a win-win. Whereas I have seen so many of these other pre-workout supplements, if nothing else, to me, they're immediate turnoff because many, not all, but many have artificial sweeteners in there, which the trade-outs for what's happening to your health, to me, are simply not worth it. So let's look at the Russian studies. The Russians started studying adaptogens pretty seriously about 1948. And when they started collecting the data, there was multiple things that they found that were pretty consistent. One was that the adaptogens automatically created less fatigue. A person had a better heart rate and blood pressure, and they had faster recovery. This sounds absolutely ideal for being able to push through and get better response. They were also noticed that there was consistently increased energy supply while the person was doing their athletic performance, and the work output, as in the return on energy level that they were getting for the amount they were taking in it was bigger than what they expected. They were also getting better sleep patterns, which is very important for athletic performance and in order for the body to be able to rebuild, restore. They had good appetite or better appetite and increased feelings of well-being. And remember, our adaptogens also impact our mind and our outlook in life. So if we feel better about what's going on, which is what they were noticing in these studies, then the whole cycle plays out better and stronger. These people also had faster finishing times because we're talking about competitive type sports that they were working in. Increased blood oxygen. We all know, or many are aware, that having that better oxygen, that the more oxygen that the blood can carry is going to get you a better result with the muscle response. And then, of course, it all kind of boiled down to we have that enhanced energy level and work capacity. So what does this translate into? Well, the end result was they said that this study showed that the adaptogens significantly improved, not just a little bit, significantly improved the athlete's ability to physiologically adapt to intensive training programs and competitions. So kind of like what we were hearing Lisa say, she is now being able to train for a marathon. and a triathlon. These are really neat things that she's being able to do because the adaptogens in these products are helping her to make a huge change in what she's able to do. And this is at a point when many people feel like, they start accepting or saying, oh, I'm getting older, I won't be able to do these things. Well, with adaptogens in the programs, there's a different type of result that we can see. So the Russians actually had it was very closely guarded. One of their people that was studying this so much that it was absolutely what they considered like a secret, and they weren't letting people know. And when they went into the Seoul 1988 Olympics, their performance across the board was outstanding, and they attributed it specifically to adding in these elite class of herbs, otherwise known as the adaptogens. So it's really neat that we've got a 40-year up until this 1988, just in that period, that what they studied and what they learned made such a huge impact on their athletes and the results that they got in competitions. So many of you know our oldest son is quite an athlete, and he is an avid rock climber amongst many things. He lived in New Zealand for a year, and while he was over there, the Vital and the Complete were so integral for him that he was having us ship them over to him. He would do these competitions, and he's a big man. He's about 6'2", 6'3". He's huge for the rock climbing industry and sport. And you'll see this picture down here that looks like he's climbing in night is exactly what he's doing. He would do a competition. It was a 24-hour climbing competition. He would climb all day and then all night long up these rocks. And at the end of it, it's so extreme, literally his fingertips would fall off and they would regrow. But the Vital and the Complete absolutely sustained him, and was something that he came to depend upon. And he too, he is now 33. So he is definitely older for being in this sport, but he absolutely loves it and challenging himself. And he lives out at 9,000 feet in Colorado, and is creating new climbing routes on a regular basis for the locals out there. So from one of my favorite books, I want to look at what they really looked at with herbs that enhance physical performance. And of course, we're talking about adaptogens with this book, and there's a whole chapter that comes on it. And so what they're looking at here I want to highlight the ones that we have in our products. One of the ones that they've got listed as American ginseng. You will find it in the Avant Greens. And of course, the Avant Greens has got a very nice, nutritionally dense formula. Many of this people will add it into their smoothies, or into like the Renew and Vital mixed. You can cook with it. You can do all kinds of different things. I wouldn't recommend heating it too much because you don't want to take away from the nutrition that comes in from the sprouted part of it. The ashwagandha we find in our adaptable, our vital, and the power chi. The adaptable has got those 6 different adaptogens just powerhoused, and you're going to find that quite a few of those adaptogens are listed in this list of the top herbs that enhance physical performance when it comes out of the adaptogen category. Our vital has got a lesser strength of the adaptable in it, minus the St. John's wort, and then the power chi, which we were listening to the testimony from Scott, and it has got the ashwagandha as well. Avena sativa, we talked about that last week, and it is in the vital. Cordyceps, one of my favorite adaptogens as well. It is in the Solle Maca XD, and it is outstanding, and I do mean absolutely outstanding for what it does for the lungs. So think about lung capacity and the ability to get that oxygen in and circulating. Eleuthero root and leaf is in your adaptable, vital, and your Soul Complete. Raponicum is in the Renew, also known as marl root. And Greg's going to go a little bit in depth on Raponicum for us here in a little bit. The rhodiola root is in adaptable, vital, and Soul Complete. And so you can see, I think out of this list of 17, and I forget my count, we had like 75% of them are in our products from Solle Naturals. Schizandra is also in the adaptable and vital. And so we're starting to see here how the adaptable is lining up and why it might be a really good formula to consider if you're an athlete. Suma was always one of my favorite adaptogens. It's in the Soul Clear SI. When I just was really dragging. Before I knew Soul, I would take Suma by itself and it would really help to bring me up and around. And so Suma is actually something that I will reach for when I get run down, as in the Soul Clear uh, SI with the Suma in it is just outstanding how well it works for me. And then the Tribulus is the adaptogen we added into our Soul Maca XD in the past year. So as you can see, we have got a lot of these covered in our formulas. Not only that, for those of you that are aware that we work on the 4 different categories between balance, lifting, clarifying, and calming, all 4 categories. If you want to make certain that we had adaptogens that supported that physical performance, you can pull something from all 4 categories and have that taken care of and addressed. So let's hear what Rachel Bragg had to say about using adaptogens for exercise.
Hello, everyone, and happy Mental Health Awareness Month. Got my pin, got to represent. So we are so passionate about doing everything we can to help ourselves mentally, physically, and emotionally. So I'm Rachel Bragg, and I'm going to talk to you just for a couple minutes about how Solle Naturals has helped me when it comes to physical exertion or workouts. We know that's so important that we move. I know for me, I have degenerative arthritis, so workouts can be a little challenging. And I know before Solle Naturals, when I would work out, I would be in pain for days. So now, because I have Solle Naturals products, it has helped me tremendously with the inflammation. So I'm not down for a long time after my workouts because we can't have that happen. So I take the Soul Vital, the Soul Flex PI, those have been amazing for my workouts. They help me to have endurance, helps with the lactic acid in the body. It just takes the inflammation down and it's amazing. The Cinemate is wonderful because it helps with junk food cravings. It also helps with stamina and endurance without having the crash that you would get from stimulants. So Solle Naturals has been a wonderful addition. Now, I had to get a trainer because I need somebody to kick my booty, but with that booty kicking can come some problems, right? With pain and inflammation. So Solle Naturals has been a lifesaver for me in that department. So absolutely, it's amazing for athletes. It's amazing for workouts, but there's so many different things that you could take of from Soul, but those are the things that I especially love. The Soul Complete also. So definitely add that to your program because you will get so much more out of your workouts without the pain and inflammation. Have a wonderful day, everybody.
And Rachel is just great testimony to the fact that even with this extreme arthritis issues that she's got, that she is still being able to exercise with using the adaptogens. And then she throws the Soulflex PI in, which of course stands for pain and inflammation, to help her body respond and allow it to improve and get the benefits of the exercise without the potential pain that she would have had in the past. So let's talk about the word endurance now. So what does endurance mean to you? So talking about withstanding hardship or stress, and when we talk about exercise, when some of these athletes are pushing themselves that hard, I mean, that's putting the body through a lot. When we look at the state or fact of persevering, being able to mentally push and challenge yourself to make it through. And then finally, continuing in existence or duration. Adaptogens help the body mentally and physically to do this. But endurance is not only when it comes to athletics. I'm pretty certain this woman right here is having to deal with a little bit of endurance in order to make it through the day. Looks like she's taking care of the things that go around the house. Maybe she's going to be heading out the door later. Or, I mean, we all know people like this. Some of us may be people like this that are working a full day at work and then coming home and then still needing to take care of the normal things for every day. So I thought it would be neat to look at those same formulas that we just looked at for athletes based off that list with those herbs that the adaptogenic book was referencing, to see how it's still going to impact and help our person that's at home. So we have the Avant greens right here, the American ginsengs in it. Getting good, dense nutrition, whether your workout is about getting out and running around a track or cross country, or it's about chasing toddlers and children through the house or having to keep going. Dense nutrition is going to be important. Ashwagandha, again, that adaptable. You're dealing with the ups and downs that comes with raising a family. The vital and the power chi, having that energy, having a good attitude about what's going on, that mental fortitude to be able to move through it. The vital with the Venus sativa, we talked about the minerals, and the Venus sativa has got lots of minerals in it and how important that is for the body to be able to function optimally. Cordyceps, let there be no doubt, having enough endurance, and most of you all know that I've raised 6 children and we have 11 grandchildren at this point. Having that endurance with the lungs to be able to keep talking and answering questions is going to be important. And with the Solle XD, you're talking about even helping keep your thyroid in balance as well, as along with many other things. Luthro root and leaf in your adaptable vital and soul complete. How many moms do you know, or stay-at-home dads, or both parents, darn not getting the chance to grab a good, quick, nutritious meal? That soul complete becomes something that they can end up relying on, or even to make protein balls or smoothies to give to their children. And again, adaptogens having multiple purposes. Remember, we talked about it, how it could work from different spectrums when that definition of adaptogen is to get the response. The Raponicum and the Renew, when you're exhausted and needing to be able to bounce back, that Renew is outstanding for that. Rhodiola root is in your adaptable, vital, and soul complete. Schizandra, there's adaptable and vital again. It's really looking like those become products that are not only good for your athlete that's out on, in the gym, or your athlete that's in the house and in that gym there chasing around the children. Suma, again, with that Soul Clear SI, not only is it going to help keep your sinuses and allergies down and helping the eyes to function, you've got the Suma in there to help keeping up. So I thought it was really neat to take the same exact products and plants and show you that no matter what, the benefits are there at whatever stage or whatever's going on in your day with the children at home. And then we've got the Tribulus and the Soul Maca XD. So, and the Soul Maca, it can just give you that energy to keep going for the day. All right, so we're going to hear from Sharon Miller, and many of you know that she has twins at home, and she has been a personal trainer for many years. In fact, she is an impressive athlete. She stopped real quick for me and got this out real quick. So let's hear what Sharon has to say.
Hey, my name is Sharon Miller. I'm from Idaho Falls, Idaho. I am a competitive athlete as well as a mom to 2-year-old twins. So I tend to keep pretty busy. What I want to share with you today is just my regimen that I use for supplements as an athlete. First of all, Soul Vital is my pre-workout. I drink it on the way to the gym. And if there's any leftover when I get there, I just continue sipping on it through my workout. As soon as I finish my workout, I have Soul Complete as my protein, as well as a half a packet of Excel. And so why I chose these products and why they work so great for me is I love the circulation and the respiratory benefits that I receive from it. I notice a difference in my workouts. If I drink the Vital beforehand, I can breathe. Days that I don't drink it, I am like trying to get air in. I feel like I just can't quite get the air intake. And so I've noticed a difference whether I take it or I do not take it prior to working out. And so I love the benefits of the respiratory benefits that come from both the Excel as well as the Soul Vital. The plant trace minerals to help replenish electrolytes, the sweating. And I mean, in the past, I was using Gatorade and it's packed full of sugar. And so I love that I've been able to trade that out for a sugar-free plant trace mineral drink with benefits of all the organs and glands, the respiratory system, and I also love that the adaptogens help with stress because exercise is stress on the body. So I feel like it just helps me to be able to recover quicker, as well as like maintaining not only just from exercise, but just being a mom. The complete being a plant protein and the probiotics, the enzymes that are in that. I no longer have bloating issues that I was having with the whey proteins. And so I drink the Vital on the way to the gym. As soon as I finish up my workout, I do 2 scoops of the Dutch cocoa and then a half packet of Excel. And the taste of the Excel with the Dutch cocoa is delicious to me. Like, it reminds me of some type of a tropical protein shake. So it's pretty great. I add my own carbohydrates in the form of oats. So I try to limit still sugar intake, but still make sure that I'm having carbohydrates as an athlete. Nutrition is important to me. And so, as well as quality supplementation.
I really appreciate Sherelle taking time to share that. And I know I was one of those people too that would have the bloating issues when it came to typical protein, and that, you know, the whey would cause those issues. But with the Soul Complete, I don't have those issues. So, and to have this coming direct from a very impressive personal trainer who does competitive CrossFit challenges is I really appreciate her taking her time to share that with us. And so now I'm not certain if Greg has made it on yet. So, but Greg is going to talk to us about marl root. So let me check here real quick and see if Greg made it on here. Have we got Greg on here yet? He may not. He had messaged me earlier that he had to take care of something and was going to be running a little bit late. So I'm going to go ahead and cover a little bit about the marl root, which is the Raponicum. And it's something that I think really, really makes our Renew stand out. And then I want you to think about this across the board about how it impacts restoration. So if we're using it in this formula, which is a lot of people think of it for sleeping, well, it's that way. We can also use it mixed with the Vital for restoration. And I want you to think about it that way when it comes to an athlete in performance, or like we just looked at this mom as a tired mom. When the body gets that opportunity to restore itself, replenish itself, marl root is the herb that really is outstanding in this practice. And it got its name from the marl deer. After they would give birth, they would go out and they would dig up this root, the marl root from the Raponicum. And that was something that would help them to bounce back faster from giving birth. So Raponicum, actually, there was, in fact, let me look at this right here where I've got it laid out. Talking about the Raponicum, the Russian sports scientists did a lot of studies with their plant, and they identified an active ingredient that was so impressive with it that it would help the body to move forward with the muscle performance and helping the muscle proteins do what it needs to do, and also your muscle recovery. So same thing as like what we talked about with giving birth. But it also was really impressive in how it could help rebuild muscle or the heart muscle after a heart attack. That is this herb in particular, Raponicum, and it was one of the active ingredients that are in it. So because of that specific study that they did, they felt that that also helped athletes, extreme athletes, to bounce back even faster. With when we think about how extreme a heart attack is, imagine an athlete that's pushing themselves to the limit, and that marl root helping them to bounce back and have that muscle recovery and be even faster with that. So basically what we have seen here is that we have a lot of products in the Soul lineup that work outstanding when it comes to helping us with endurance, whether we're talking as an athlete or in everyday life and the extremes and what we deal with. And many people know that I like to start people with the Bella Health program and the longevity. Well, if we look right there, we already see that the Vital is right there in that lineup, which was reflected a lot in because of so many of the herbs in it that were on that list about the performance value that they bring to the table when it comes to an athlete. We also heard about how some people mix the Vital and the Cinnamate and use it for their workouts. Many people actually use the Cinnamate before a workout as well, and they use the Vital after a workout. I've also seen the Vital used before. So a person who already has this program, it's very easy to look in and say, which one of these others might I want to add? Or if you're not using any of that, maybe starting there and picking one or two. But you've got great choices here to find what's going to line up best for you to best support you in the direction that you want to go. So basically what we're hearing is across the board. And like I said, I had so many different testimonies to choose from, so many different people who were getting switching from traditional drinks that they were using before they would work out, and then they were getting different type of result than they'd ever gotten in the past. And it looks like actually Greg may be on here. I'm going to give him a second and see if he can join. And Greg, if you want, I can, you had perfect timing to join in here.
Wow. Hi, Val.
Hey, oh, you're still in the car. I talked a little bit about Raponicum. If you wanted to add a couple thoughts to it.
I'd love to. And thanks for being patient with me. I was dropping Grace off. As you know, Donna is recovering with her bionic knee, her new bionic knee. So I'm doing some of the dropping off, and Grace just finished volleyball. So sorry I'm late, everybody, but yes, I really I wanted to add a couple of things about Raponicum. Valerie had messaged me earlier about it, and it is really interesting because I hope it doesn't get old, and I apologize if I've said this too much, but one thing that I don't think is the right direction that continues to happen in the industry, and I'm talking about the natural health industry, but it's really just, it's the medical industry in general. Raponicum is also the subject of a certain component, which they are certain sterols in the plant. And I can't remember the name exactly. It's something like ectosterol. And if you look it up, it's like ECH, but it's a particular sterol. We've mentioned it before without calling it out by name, that deals with the process of the body repairing and multiplying cells and building new cells. And so it's a particular interest in the area of athletics and any kind of physical activity. And they've got some nice extracts where they've pulled it out, left the rest of this wonderful adaptogen that has other very important sterols and other components, because they've found one that they're excited about. And they've done studies. And then you can go look at these studies, and they absolutely help these athletes build more muscle mass, and they repair, they heal more quickly. And when you take too much of them, you can have side effects. And so then you see the following articles, or the articles that follow those studies, that study the acute use of X-sterol taken from a plant. And that is my whole problem with the whole thing. You've got this wonderful adaptogen that grows along this huge lake that I think it's called Baikal, is how you pronounce it, this huge pristine lake in Siberia. It might be the deepest freshwater lake on the planet. And it's got all these wonderful adaptogenic properties. And yes, the studies are fantastic. When you use the entire herb, we're using the root, you have fantastic studies that show no side effects, and this same rebuilding and strengthening capacity, endurance improves, body's able to rebuild more quickly. And we've told the stories in the past. You probably told some, Val, because I'm coming in late. But I wanted to just add my 2 cents that, again, the thing to do is to use all of the wonderful balance in nature. And if you're going to concentrate it, then do it the way that we have seen to work, which is to concentrate all of it. That does work well. It can be 4 times, it can be 6 times, 10 times. There are different extracts. But concentrating those kinds of multipliers when you take one ingredient out, to me, disturbs the balance and actually brings other types of effects into the body. And that's really what we're trying to avoid. So happy to tell you that where we use it it has always used the full concentrated root, marl root. And I don't know, Val, is there any other points you wanted to bring up there, but those were some of the biggies. To me, lots and lots of studies. Honestly, I will tell you, it's very commonly combined with rhodiola. The Russians have done studies for 50 years. It was added to their pharmacopoeia as endurance and stamina. And my word, rebuilding, they use a different word, but my word is rebuilding. And lots of great studies, and it is still used today, both in folk and in scientific medicine there. And unfortunately, you also have a group using things pulled out of it. But the group using the whole root, to me, they're the lucky ones. They get all the benefits and the balance that stays with it.
Perfect. Thank you, Greg. That was spot on. And it underscores too, I think, the reasons that we're seeing so many benefits from our products. Once again, because we're using the whole plant, the whole extract, the whole active part of it, or that it comes out of, not isolating the ingredient, where once again, we start running into issues when we remove the natural checks and balances. So thank you so much, Greg.
You betcha.
So that brings us to our quote here at the end. And I love this. This is echinacea, absolutely beautiful plant, also known as a Missouri snake root. A funny side story, when I was in college, we used to go and dig this plant for a little bit of side money. So this is great. It says using plants is merely facilitating a biochemical conversation, which is often far beyond our comprehension and our understanding. And to me, that could not have come on the heels any better of what Greg just said. When the way we use the whole entirety part of the plant that has what we're looking for, we get the whole conversation. We don't understand all of it because we don't understand the synergy and all the individual parts, how they play together. But we know it takes all of it to make this beautiful, for instance, here, this beautiful plant that we're seeing here with the echinacea. So having that full conversation, not getting bits and pieces of it, we're getting the whole story. So keep that in mind as one of the added benefits whenever you're using a product from Solle Naturals. So next week, we're going to be talking about allergies. There's a lot of people having issues with that, both with the environmental and with animals. So you're going to be really pleasantly pleased and surprised to find out some of the stories and results we've gotten with the Solle Natural products. And I hope that you will join us.